Hey guys, and welcome to episode 4 of the Flixwatcher Podcast. I'm Kobe.
I'm Helen.
On today's show, we have Tony and Jay from How to Write a Tune and GL Productions, and we're going to be talking about the talented Mr. Ripley. The guys are great, and we're really looking forward to you guys listening to the show.
We are, of course, on iTunes, where you can subscribe and leave us a lovely review. You can also find us on Twitter at FlixWatcherPod. Come say hi, give us a tweet, and visit the website flixwatcher.tv for full listings of each episode. As always, films reviewed in this podcast were available to stream on Netflix UK at the time of recording. There may be bad language and there may be spoilers. You have been warned.
We'll see you on the other side.
Hi there. So we're going to say hello to our guest today. One of our guests today is Tony. Hello, Tony.
Hello, I'm Tony from How to Write a Tune. We're a podcast where we talk to musicians all the time, and quite looking forward to talking about something else for once.
Fantastic.
Excellent. And we also have with us today, we've got Jay.
Hi, I'm Jay. Hi. I can't wave on a podcast, I always forget that.
Well, you can wave, but people can't see you.
Yeah.
So I'm one of the founding directors of GL Productions, and we are a content creation company.
Fantastic.
And also, I'm looking forward to talking about movies as well for a change.
Excellent, that's what we like, lots of movie talk. So in today's episode, we are going to be discussing the Anthony Minghella film from 1999, The Talented Mr. Ripley, which is Jay's choice. So first question, why did you pick this particular film?
I wanted to be dead artsy fartsy.
It's a good enough response.
Well, I'm a real cinephile. I watch just movie after movie after movie after movie. In fact, when Tony and I knew that we were kind of coming on here, we were looking at some things of how we watch movies, and I'll watch half hour of a movie while I'm cooking, or like in the morning I'll hit 45 minutes of a film I've already watched like 25 minutes of before. I continuously watch films basically. So it's kind of hard to say what do you want to watch from Netflix, because I really hit all of the different genres, an awful lot as well.
Plus you're halfway through all of them.
Yeah, and I'm halfway through all of them, and I don't want to finish. So Talented Mr. really kind of jumped up is Matt Damon's in my head because Bourne film's out soon.
That's true.
And he's just always in everyone's head. He's just there. He's omnipresent.
What he's for.
He is pretty dreamy.
And you get to see a lot of him in this film, don't you?
You do. Yeah, absolutely do. And also I've just watched and made my poor suffering missus walk through the first 3 Bourne films in preparation for the 4th one coming out as well. So it's nice to see kind of something he did back in, someone said a time, when was
1999, so it was quite a while ago.
Yeah, so what's that, 17 years ago, right at the beginning of the talented Mr. Damon's career.
So we were talking about this, Helen and I, beforehand, and we were saying that Damon looks very, very slim, very, very, very wiry in this film. And you're talking about the Bourne films coming up, and he's a big guy nowadays, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he has to be for those, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I think after before Talented Mr. Ripley, he did a film called like In the Line of Fire or something.
Courage Under Fire.
Courage Under Fire.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. you get the prize with Meg, someone or other. Ryan. Come on, yeah. Which is a great film.
It is a great film. It's really good.
Then what other Meg is there? And in that, I think he plays a heroin addict or something in it, or he gets dead skinny.
Yeah.
Now, because of that, he almost didn't get Saving Private Ryan, because that was kind of a part he was really, really known for, but for being really, really skinny in. And it was a case of like, I really want that guy to play it. So I think he's still in like make yourself bigger again mode by the time Ripley's on, because he's dead skinny.
Yeah.
And he's playing a young guy though as well.
Oh, true. What? So he's come from university. Well, he doesn't go to university. What's the story? Can you give us the story of the Talented Mr.
Yeah, all right.
Gives us a synopsis.
Yeah.
It's quite...
Some
good
of
shout.
sentence.
Wow, the Talented Mr. Ripley. And I watched this thrice recently. Okay, so young guy is in college playing a little piano. It's because he's not in college.
He's not.
No, he's not in college.
Pretending he's in college.
The first few
the
words
whole
have
thing.
fallen on my face.
He's the tuner?
He's not. He plays.
that's not
he
him,
plays
is it?
Ponzi parties. He meant to make a few quid. Pretends he's someone. He's like, do you know Matey Boy? And he's like, I don't Matey Boy. I'm good friends with Matey Boy. We went to Yale together. Yale?
Harvard.
Princeton.
Son of a...
Princeton? No, he's one of the...
Oh, was it Harvard?
Ivy League.
Yeah, he goes, yeah.
It is Princeton, I think, yeah.
But now it's set. It's a period piece. Do you know when it's set?
let's say after some war.
After some war, but before some recent war.
Yeah. So it's very jazz focused.
It is.
it's
So like
kind of
20s,
Charlie
30s odd.
Parker and
Ah.
that kind of period.
Yeah.
And Vespers kind of.
Yeah, well, definitely.
Italy.
It was in Italy.
Yeah. It's Cinquecento. It can't be 20s. It can't be that early.
No,
can
I
it?
think it's a bit later than that.
Yeah.
Okay, but pre-Second World War.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So he gets the opportunity to go and find a rebel of a son who is being paid too much, has too much allowance, and as Matt Damon has set himself up, or Mr. Ripley has set himself up as this guy's friend and confidant, he gets the job and essentially gets a free ticket to Europe to go to the nicest places. Finds him, weasels his way in, and then gets really weird.
Well put.
Is that some sort of synopsis?
I think that was the breakdown that was given to Matt Damon that sold him the film. Go to Italy and get a bit weird.
So things get really weird. he essentially falls in love with this guy Dickie, who's played by Jude Law, who is the son of the rich guy, which is why Matt Damon, Mr. Ripley, is out there to find him. Who is with who? His girlfriend.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Paltrow. Yeah.
Wow, I'm useless. 3 times. But he kind of falls in love with the kind of ethos of this guy and the way this guy is perceived and wants to become him, but also has a real talent for mimicry. Hence where the talent kind of comes from, I guess.
Yeah, the talented Mr. Ripley can mimic is better than give me the name of a mimic. Alistair McGowan.
I bet he did. And that's the other way
Yeah.
Matt Damon sold it. You'll be like Alistair McGowan.
So here's a question: I know there's certain parts in the movie where he does impressions of people.
Yeah.
Do we know? Is that faked, or is that him being actually very good at impressions?
That's interesting, yeah, because
I don't know the answer to that question.
because he does the voice of
Guy's dad.
the guy's dad, and it's really
Yeah.
it's very different.
But then he also does Jude Law and Gwyneth Paltrow at one point. He's like overhearing, he's listening to them and kind of copying them in the mirror. But at that point, I was like, he's not doing that? Is he? Or is? I don't know.
But you
Very well done, all the same.
It's really well done, yeah, and you kind of see throughout the process of the movie that this guy is kind of almost devoid of personality. He doesn't have his own roots of it, and hence why he starts to, like I say, almost fall in love with the idea of people, is especially if they're very extrovert or they're very musical or they're very this or very that. He kind of falls in love with that idea and the ability to take it over. And I'm not sure, but on like I say, my second or third watching, started to think he's definitely a sociopath, but then I guess with all that killing. Oh, spoilers.
No.
Spoilers. So there's also then a bunch of killing.
But you could be excused for falling asleep halfway through that movie as well and thinking that you'd seen most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And to have watched a really good movie.
And so, yeah, it's still a really good movie. It ends hour and a half through, and then you're like, oh, that was interesting. I don't know what happened at the end, but it's probably great. Like, what? There's another hour and a half. Like,
Yeah, because it's kind of just a nice film to watch, isn't it? It's kind of pootling along.
yeah.
And especially if you've seen it recently, you think, oh, Gwyneth Paltrow, Cate Blanchett's in it, Philip Seymour-Hoffman. It's like, oh,
yeah.
PSH is in
He's
there.
great. Yeah.
It's a great PSH performance
Yeah.
as well. He's really cool in it.
And that's just pootling. It's nice film, nice setting, and everyone's playing not their A game, but everyone's enjoying it. You can see they're enjoying it, and then suddenly Damon gets very weird. Watches them having sex on the boat. Philip Seymour-Hoffman says, "Why are you doing that?" And he stops, and then he kills Jude Law
This is it.
on the boat.
But that's kind of thing. It's almost a case of, because he likes the idea of people and how they are, the more he gets to know them, he either gets completely sucked into it, but it's kind of like the meeting your heroes thing. He then starts to see the flaws in it, and it's like, well, that's awful. That's really bad. Like he hates them having sex on the boat. However, is completely intrigued by it and can't take his eyes off it, to the point where another guy's watching him and is like, yo, that's our friend, dude. That's 2 of our friends, you know. We're on his boat, let him have a moment. But, you know, and kind of goes too much into it, which I guess why is he then wants to take over that personality afterwards and kind of be the best Dickie he can be.
Dickie being Jude Law's character.
Being Jude Law's character.
I mean, thinking about the character of the talented Mr. Ripley, Tom Ripley, what do you think it is about his kind of character and or the way Matt Damon plays him that, you know, he's so good at being able to kind of weasel his way into this completely different world? Because it is a completely different world and basically fake everything down to obviously his history and everything else that follows.
Well, I've read the books.
Okay.
I've read the Tom Ripley books as well, but a while back, and it's interesting how every actor who's played them, which is Barry Pepper and John Malkovich, have both played sort of Tom Ripley at different stages in his life. He's always really interesting because as he goes on in life, the character of Tom Ripley becomes very confident of who he is, and then kind of shuns everything and doesn't want anyone around him to change that. But in what's really good about the way Matt Damon sort of plays him is a sponge. He's learning all the time, and you can kind of watch him learning things. And I think it's like a few people say it during the movie. They're like, "Now you're telling me it's 3 streets along," or someone else is like, "Haven't you learned a lot? But when you came here, you were so naive and you didn't know anything. Now it's like, grazie," and running around. And I think it's this kind of search he's having to find where he wants to be. And when it moves into the very last sort of moments of the film, and he's found someone who really likes him for him, but the kind of twisted lies and the situation he spun himself into, the only guy who loves him for him and that he loves will also bring him down, essentially, and bring down the lie that he's built. So because he's a psychopath, he is like, well, you have to go. And I think he's crying, isn't he? He's crying really, really badly as he kills the guy. Just, it's beautifully shot, and it comes away from the boat, and you just hear him crying. And makes you poor old Matt. But it's that moment almost where he's saying, like, that's I'm making the decision. That is, I have to be the other guy, and I'm just never going to be Ripley again. He's never going to be Tom Ripley. And I think that's really interesting, and the way Matt Damon plays such kind of a vicious guy with such sensitivity is kind of all the way through it. You almost rooting for him, even after he's nailed Dickie with the old oar.
It's the original Dexter in that sense, isn't it? That was probably the first. I'm sure there's older examples in cinema history of rooting for the murderer, but that exactly where you like the guy, and you feel kind of awkward because of it, but you're sucked in too. Like, you like Mr. Ripley; he's very talented. And he sells it as well, doesn't he? Like, it's quite an unbelievable character in reality. If you were to meet that person, you'd be quite surprised that could actually exist. But Matt Damon and the character, as it's written, is sold as believable. Like, I do believe that character is I do believe in that character, even though I wouldn't really believe a person could be that good at all those things. So
just turn up and listen to some jazz records, rock up in Italy, and say, "Hey, I went to university with you. Do you remember me?" "No, but let's have dinner."
Yeah. Simple as that. Yeah, I feel only I knew it was that easy.
Just out of interest, find out when was the first time everyone saw it, because obviously it's been around for 17 years now. When was the first time you saw it, Kobe? Can you remember?
I think I probably saw it on DVD perhaps a couple of years after it came out.
Yeah.
So probably I was at university time, I think.
So that's obviously kind of pre-Bourne. So what you associate with Matt Damon, was this the first time?
Yeah. No, I'd seen it before, but it was a long time ago, probably at the cinema. And probably fell asleep at the cinema, but then had watched the whole thing at some point between now and then, but I couldn't possibly tell you when. But yeah, I think I saw it at the cinema.
I saw it at the cinema, absolutely. I remember sort of seeing Good Will Hunting and falling down the Matt Damon and Ben Affleck rabbit hole for a while, and just making sure I'd seen everything, even Reindeer Games.
That's commitment.
It's commitment. And to sit all the way through it, again in 45-minute chunks, but nevertheless.
So you paid for the cinema like 5 times?
Now, I have done that with Third Lord of the Rings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went the first time, and I went with someone. We took a bottle of wine. So by the end of it, I had drunk most of the bottle of wine. It was hazy at the end, real hazy. And then I went another time, and I was, well, that was silly. So I brought a little keg. Remember those little kegs of Heineken?
Yeah.
Right? It's 4 hours, but I drunk that really early. So I was sort of kind of very drunk at the beginning, and then sobered up. So it was this hazy bit in the middle where I'd never quite seen. So I went a third time and sat as sober as I could. Didn't even have popcorn. Just stared at the screen for 4 hours to be like, right, that's what happens. Great, I'm out.
What do you think makes this a decent film to watch on small screen, if it is a decent film to watch on a small screen?
It's not graphically reliant, is it?
No.
It's the story. It's very story based. So I think in that sense, it's perfect for the Netflix angle. In the
How do you guys normally choose your films that you watch on Netflix?
Jay?
I'm big on series, but I like if a series has a chunk. So I want a series of like 3 seasons. At very least, the 3rd season starting soon.
He just watched Game of Thrones.
I've just watched
Just
Game of
before the
Thrones.
new season started.
Yeah.
He's
I've zero.
Yeah.
Zero Game of Thrones.
That's what he's been like.
I'm like the wall.
all the way through until about
enough-
3 weeks ago.
There's a big wall in there, though.
Yeah, if you have social media, you know a lot about Game of Thrones. And that was the thing, is I'd watch Tony watch some episodes now and again and be like, yeah, that's cool, you know, swords and magic or whatever. Like, not my kind of thing. And then, yeah, have just sat and watched the entire lot. Oh, it's a good show. It's a very good show. But well worth waiting. Wait until all the hype's died down and then just sit quietly and smash out like 8 episodes. 8 seasons, sorry.
I'm not ready. I'm not there yet.
It's addictive, though. It's really addictive.
Do you ever go for, because obviously Netflix has its own algorithms and recommendations, do you ever go for them, or do you think, that's not for me, Netflix? You know,
Sometimes.
it's a bit hit and miss, isn't it?
Well, the thing about Netflix, and I'm a big Netflix user, and I've had it since it was available. It's not brilliant. Like, it hasn't got...
It doesn't recommend well.
No, and it's not the recommendation algorithm's fault. It's their stock of films. Like, you know, they'll have such the other movies. So many, and for a long time, I was sat there being like, sure, I could watch Smokey and the Bandit too. Like, I haven't seen that in a while. Oh, they don't have Smokey 1 though. Like, that's a really random thing to have. Even with series, there's a series I just watched like last year. It was the whole thing, cheesy TV, called White Collar.
Oh, yeah.
So I watched 5 seasons of it on Netflix and was like, all right, and it just kind of like pooted out. It just sort of finished. Like, for a show which has had like big cliffhangers every year, that just kind of finished. There's a 6th season.
That's not available on Netflix.
It's not available on Netflix. It wasn't until recently it came up. And it's only 6 episodes long. Like, they just weren't licensed to it. And we were over in France and they had a whole different license. They have different TV shows on Netflix.
Same with
in
the
Europe.
US and same with every, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
not fair. I want everything.
But you're a Netflix power user, aren't you? So for the kind of layman, surely there's enough there to quite easily get you involved. Yeah.
Yeah. And if
Very
you can
casual
find
user.
something you like, it's great being thrown up the stuff. And the originals they do are just the bomb.
Yeah, now they've had a bit of time to churn out a few as well. Like, I mean, Marco Polo just started 2nd season. I'm like so excited that the 2nd season finally arrived out. I was like, that's one of the greatest shows on at the moment. They but again, they are hit and miss. They did sign up Adam Sandler for quite a long contract.
Have you seen that? Yeah, have you seen that
Which one?
Ridiculous 6?
And he's another one as well.
Has he got another one?
There's another one. It's
And they're
recommended at the end of every time you've watched any any movie on Netflix. You should watch this new Adam Sandler movie.
Have you started watching Helen?
I don't do Adam Sandler either.
Not for a long time.
That has to be a challenge for you, I think, throughout the course of the podcast. We're laying it down now.
Start at the beginning though.
Yeah, if you
don't
start
watch the new
early,
ones.
That's not bad. If you start way back when at like
Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, they're all right.
Yeah, Happy Gilmore.
I think
watched
I've
that
opened a door now. I wish I'd.
Oh, it's a huge door.
Pandora.
I think I watched Happy Gilmore 27 times a week once. Like, it's a hell of a movie. But you have to stop at like Little Nicky or Zohan. You worked it out the other day. You stop hard at Zohan and then just don't relate to anything else.
Now segue back into Ripley. I dare you.
Easy. So much like the mimic Adam Sandler. Thank you.
So going back to
Ripley.
the reason we're here. Thinking about Anthony Minghella films, are you familiar with any of his other pieces?
I had a little look earlier, and yes, but what are some of the titles?
So
Cold
the
Mountain.
big one is The English
English
Patient, with
Patient,
the multi-Oscar winning
So I think
monster.
And recently
Epic.
Carol as well was there.
which is like last year, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was that the last one he did then?
I think it was the last one. It was Oscar nominated.
Nice.
Yeah.
Should be.
Because also, along with, see, it's based on the Patricia Highsmith novel, and Carol was also based on a novel of hers. So,
Okay.
but it's I think it's something. The Price of Salt, I believe, is the name of the book, and then Carol is based on that.
On that book, yeah.
So, obviously, a partnership that they've got there. But sort of your experience of any of his other films?
English Patient's nice. Is that Ralph Fiennes? Which one?
Yeah.
They're 2 different people?
They're the same person.
They're the same person.
Different pronunciation.
There's another. Oh damn! It's me. Yeah, it's good. It's a good movie. Have you guys watched it recently? Are you fans?
I haven't watched it recently. I mean, I did enjoy it when I saw it a while ago. It's very cinematic.
Yes.
Very kind of Lawrence of Arabia kind of.
It's an Oscar
grandeur.
movie.
Yeah.
It's got Oscar
It is.
written all
That's
over
it.
it, right? Yeah.
And I'd say between the two, Talented Mr Ripley's more watchable,
It's
watchable.
It's fun. It's more fun.
Yeah,
A lot of fun.
like you were saying earlier, Kobe. The first hour or so, or like you were saying, it's cool.
rom-com.
Yeah. And they're kind of shooting around Italy. Ciao, hey, grazie. It's that's really cool, and it's a real nice period piece as well. It's only when it spins off into the dark side
It gets really weird.
it gets really, really weird. But it's cool at that point because you stay with the one person who it feels weird to stay with, which is Mr. Ripley. When he gets his apartment in Dickie's name, and is living Dickie's life, that's all really weird. But you see, kind of Mr. Ripley, good old Tom, putting his kind of house together and putting some furnishings, and he's gone to IKEA.
Yeah,
he's got
setting up shop.
He's got the little head bust of whatever, and he loves his little place. And it's like, oh, come on, man! I've seen him come from nothing as well. So it's you're so with him, and then every time it gets dark, you kind of feel bad almost that you're his compadre on this sort of.
It's kind of weird how you see him kind of degenerate into a mass murderer, basically, because
you kind of have a lot of sympathy for him in the start.
Just when he first kills the first guy?
Well, no, but
before that?
Yeah, when you first kind of meetings, obviously it's very clear that whatever his family situation is, he doesn't seem to have one. He doesn't really come from anywhere. He seems to be very, wanting to please everyone, and obviously no outward signs of being a psychopath at that point. And again, when he is in his kind of his dream house, his dream world, he kind of feels like he's achieved that, or he's kind of worked for it as well.
Yeah, and if anyone touches things around, he's like, whoa. Don't touch my little head busty thing, I'll bash your head in. And who does Philip Seymour-Hoffman play? What's the guy?
Freddie.
Freddie's great.
Everyone knows
well.
Freddie.
I know.
He's everyone's mate.
I've got a couple of Freddie mates. I might be Freddie for a couple of years.
I think that Freddie was probably the trigger, wasn't it? That everything was going fine between this weird threesome of Ripley and Jude Law and Gwyneth, and then Freddie comes along. It's like, who's this Tom guy you're hanging around with? And that's when he becomes alienated. Doesn't get to go skiing. I think that was the key thing.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
they kind of chooses to spend time with him listening to records rather than with Ripley.
Yeah.
When they first kind of meet, is you can kind of see him then notice the kind of wedge between them, and also kind of the social background as well coming into play a little bit more.
But Gwyneth Paltrow's character says it, doesn't it, to Ripley at the time? That's what he's like when Dickie's on you, he's you, and it's just you and him all the time.
Yeah, it's true.
So I guess almost. What's Gwyneth Paltrow's character's name?
Marge.
Thank you. Okay, I'm forgiven for getting that name. But Marge is used to it. She's used to sitting and doing her own thing and writing her book when Dickie shoots off for however many weeks and leaves him just leaves her. But I don't think Tom's set up for it. After experiencing that friendship and it being so intense, he can't handle anything. Whereas when Freddie comes in, it almost reminds Dickie about it. It reminds Jude Law's character that I'm a lot on this guy. Let's hang out with Freddie now, and that moving off it just sends Miss Tom Ripley off the charts, really, doesn't it?
That scene on the boat was quite vicious.
It is.
Let's talk about the first. Tony's take us through the first death.
I watched this last night, so I should know. Well, yeah, he kills him, doesn't he?
That's it, Bonner.
I'm trying to think back to actually what kicks it off. I know there's a lot of blood and a lot of scrambling around, and he's beating him with a paddle by the end, but I can't even remember.
It's a crime of passion, really.
Yeah, it is.
Dickie loses it.
It's coming for a while.
Dickie loses it with him, and he's like, "Look, you are pretty, creepy."
Yeah.
Just kind of says, "Look, you're weird, mate."
Says it straight.
Yeah.
But everything he says he's weird for, like you say, it's very sympathetic. So even at the moment of when he kills him, but up to, he's very sympathetic because he's like Dickie saying to him, "You're wearing my clothes. You're really weird. You're here, you're there, everywhere." Whereas earlier on, a few weeks ago or whatever, however long in the time was, he's like, just wear my clothes. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's cool. And let's go to Rome and let's go to this place. And you come in skiing. You are coming skiing. And all of a sudden, but Tom's creepy. If Tom wasn't as creepy with it, he would have got to go skiing. It's as simple as that. But he was too creepy for skiing.
And obviously the murder is pretty horrific, but then it kind of gets even weirder post-murder.
Because
they're hugging each other. He hugs. He embraces him.
Oh,
He
they're
cut-
laying in a boat, aren't
it's a bit weird.
they? Having a little cry again.
He likes that.
Yeah, so Tom Ripley forces Jude Law's dead, his cadaver, to kind of spoon him.
Yeah.
In the boat, and it just kind of floats around, and it kind of goes in and out of the hallucinogenic kind of wave, doesn't it? It kind of, that's some nice cinematography there. But then he kind of pans back, and there's this blood-soaked boat, and they're spooning. And you think, Tom's just a weirdo.
But you get the impression he does feel remorse for this one at least, and maybe less so as they become more. He kind of, I think he goes through waves, doesn't he? Where he kind of regrets one and then.
But it seems classic
kind of finds it as a
sociopath. He's upset when he realises that it's definitely bad. I shouldn't kill people. I'm sure of that.
Damn it, not again!
Yeah, but almost. But I had to kill him. He was in my way. He was definitely going to, ruin this. So, and it's that kind of, the decision-making power is gone. For the rest of us, it would be like, that's wrong. I really can't kill him because he won't take me to St. Bart's or wherever. But for him, it's, it must happen. It's, maybe the first time, not so much. Do you think the first time's literally a cry and passion? There's nothing planned.
Yeah, there's no. I think he does regret it, and then after the first blow, you can kind of maybe see that he would want to kind of undo it, but then
it's too late.
Yeah, it's too late, and he has to finish it. Then he can't lie his way out of that. There's no way he can.
No, Dickie's not going to be like, yeah, okay, you're right.
I accidentally smashed my head.
I did deserve a good O-ring. It's brutal though, isn't it? Side of his head kind of bleeds in a very realistic way.
But it's also 1999, so they don't go all the way.
No,
they imply it really well though. Like every blow, you kind of feel the blow, but it's just clever cutting.
Yeah, because it's always focused on like Matt Damon actually throwing the oar down.
Throw some blood on, cut back.
Yeah,
more blood, cut back.
And then he goes on to live his life under Dickie's passport and stuff.
And he's getting away with it till bloody Freddie comes along, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's pretty much getting away with it. That bloody Freddie.
This is it, which is why. But when he makes a decision to kill Freddie, that's a very premeditated. It's because he decides what he's going to do it with when Freddie comes in, because Freddie leaves, isn't he? It's a big kind of confrontation. So come back up, skadoosh, the old bust to the head. Oh, it's brutal. And then there's the whole random. This is what you say. You could literally miss the second half of the movie. It could be its own film because there's the Inspector Clouseau guy.
The detective. Yeah, he's great.
Who's like really sharp though.
But totally misses the point as well. Like he's on it, but then just goes off. Like he's.
But again, another little bit of luck for Mr. Ripley is that he's on it. He's got him. He's another guy who knows. He gets taken off the case though, and he shoots off to Rome. Then he meets up with the English guy. Who's the gay English guy?
Jack Davenport.
Jack Davenport. Well done, sir. Wow, good pull. And then he builds a whole new life for himself. But then he's Tom. Is that
mostly
right?
Yeah, he's Tom. Then.
Mostly,
right?
Yeah.
So this is where it gets bizarre, because with Jack Davenport, he's Tom Ripley.
Yeah.
But with Cate Blanchett, he's Mr. Greenleaf, Dickie Greenleaf.
Yeah.
And that's where it all
Eventual. But also with the detective, he's Dickie. Right? Yeah. So
no. He knows him as Ripley.
Oh yeah, the detective knows. Yes, that's.
I think you're right. No,
because Gwyneth Paltrow is going to catch them talking when he thinks he's.
You're right. Yeah. Okay, so Inspector Clouseau knows him as Ripley. No, it's
Dickie. Yeah. It gets very confusing.
It is. You can see why he has to kill some people. This is too confusing. It must stop.
Wants to stay out of jail. Kill some people.
I'd also like to point out, apart from obviously our inspector friend, the only person who really kind of works out, apart from obviously Freddie, is obviously Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah.
And then the dad's like, "Shut up, woman!"
Yeah.
And it pretty much just shuts her down, even though it's quite clear that she's onto something. It's pretty harsh.
If she was to be less shouty about it and just lay her information out on the table for 5 minutes,
he He saw him last on the boat,
Yeah.
and then he was the last one to see Freddie.
This is it, I'm telling you.
Not looking good.
When there's smoke, there's fire.
Loads of people were alive. Then we met Tom. But he comes off pretty well at the end, right? So Dickie's dad ends up giving him a bunch of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to stay quiet. About Dickie doing all the murders.
Yeah, doing all the murders.
That's great.
It is. He's a winner, and he's got away with it. Apart from the fact, very very early on in the movie, stinky Cate Blanchett.
Yeah. Why does
that-
she think he Cate Blanchett?
And that's
Because
like
he's ruined his plan.
Oh, right, his first lie, because that's when he tells her right at the start that he's
Dickie.
not
Yes.
Tom Ripley.
And he
isn't it?
didn't need
If he'd
to
never
do
done that, it'd probably been right.
He didn't need to do that.
I think he was just testing out his method,
Yeah.
wasn't he?
I mean, one hole I will pick in the Talented Mr Ripley is apparently, the European socialite scene is about 8 people wide. Like, they absolutely all know each other. Oh, yeah, that's because, and we're talking pre-telephone as well or email, but they all know each other quite intimately.
Yeah, it's definitely phones.
There are phones.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Telegrams.
I'd love to figure out when you think this movie is actually set, because it doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah, I might have missed a trick on that one. I see you've pulled up your scoring system. How are we
This
doing
is
on
a
the
score.
scoring?
Yeah.
Should we go to the scores? Is there anything else we want to touch upon?
Helen,
Sorry,
when
yes.
did you first see it? Because
Yeah.
we forgot to
Oh,
ask.
that's true.
I think I must have seen it maybe 3 or 4 years after it came out, I think. So
Sure.
Is that in Bourne era?
I think it would have been just before Bourne era, I think.
Okay.
But definitely kind of Good Will Hunting, Private Ryan, Courage Under Fire. So already kind
Courage
of
Under Fire is great as well.
It's really, really good film.
Yeah.
I think it's quite of an underrated one. So, but yeah, well aware of Matt Damon, and like even now, I will probably watch anything that he's in.
Yeah, and I
Pretty
mean,
much.
even though he's a bit funny, it's funny. He's a weird one because he's a bit of a laughing stock in some ways, but no one's ever denying that he's a very good actor at any point. But it's the whole South Park trade.
Yeah.
It's their whole Team America thing. It just he's never dropping that. He's never getting past that. Like,
There's a generation of people who only know him as.
yeah.
So what did you make of it, Helen? Overall,
So my recommendability.
I will get into the scores straight away.
Oh yeah.
Scores on the doors.
Oh right.
I just want to.
Generally,
Yeah.
I think it's great, and the performances in it are fantastic, and it has got that kind of artsy vibe mentioned there earlier, and it just kind of moves along. It is quite a long film, but it does kind of move along at quite a nice pace, and the Italy scenes they are very light, and you've got this really good contrast between the light scenes in the day and then this very, very dark, scary character as well. And I think it all really, really kind of comes together really well, and I think it has aged quite well. Apart from maybe some of the bits are a little bit kind of dated in terms of sort of quite static scenes and things. This could be made
But it kind of
this
feels
year.
like it's like something of the period, and I know we've all agreed that I don't know when the period is, but it's a kind of hark back to that sort of feel of old timey cinema. It's definitely shot on film as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely shot on
You
film.
really
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
And it's nice it hasn't been.
And it's definitely shot on location. That's not like that's not somewhere in Canada that they've done up to look like Italy.
No.
It's definitely Italy. Or somewhere Europe, Mediterranean. Maybe.
Yeah, it's definitely a Mediterranean place, and it's very. You feel it, and you feel it from a tourist's view, how they're seeing it, but being great, and like you say, it's so cool and seedy at night as well.
It is kind of very tangible, isn't it? You're like, oh, that beach looks great for right here, right now. I want to be on that beach when they first meet each other and stuff like that.
And everyone's wearing the horrific speedos.
There are some impressive speedos. The lime green, I think.
Oh, yeah.
He's not that talented then. It's a bad speedo choice.
So should we go to the scoring system?
Sure.
All right.
So scores out of there's 4 different scores, and we come up with an overall score at the end. Recommendability score. These are all going to be tongue twisters.
Yeah.
These are all tongue twisters. So the recommendability score. Let's go from.
And we're going out of 5.
Yeah, out of
Okay.
5.
Out of 5. How much you recommend it to someone? I'm presuming yes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you haven't seen it, you should see it. 5. It's a very good movie.
That's great. That's great as well, because it's not really your kind of movie, is it?
No, but it's a very good movie. You
Yeah.
can't. It's difficult to deny good movies.
Yeah, I'd say it sits in, like you mentioned earlier, the Oscar space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sits in when you
Did it
fancy...
win anything?
It was definitely nominated.
Yeah.
I don't think it won anything.
99
that year,
was a big year.
It was a big year. That's
Yeah.
true.
Mm.
That is true. But yeah, it sits in the same space as 12 Years a Slave. Sometimes I just want to see a movie of that much, like, gravitas and that dramatic. Same thing with Talented Mr Ripley, or like Saving Private Ryan. Not often am I going to be like, nice World War II movie. That sounds great. Cheer me up. But it's I'd say I'm going to go 5 as well.
Going to go 5 as well.
Yeah.
Helen, what do you want to recommend ability score?
Yeah, 5. I mean, if you haven't seen it, then you have to see it. Essential Matt Damon film. And if you have seen it but you've not seen it for a few years, then definitely worth another watch.
I like that essential Matt Damon film. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right, because it's important to remember he wasn't always Bourne.
Yeah.
For a while, he was the great actor of the two, and Ben Affleck was shooting down the Star Highway real quick.
He was with J-Lo at the time, wasn't he, probably?
Yeah, he did
Dancing around
Armageddon
the boat,
straight after,
And
like,
Pearl Harbor. So those...
Oh, God,
yeah.
super bankable Mr. A-list, and Matt Damon was his mate.
Yeah, because this was before or after Good Will Hunting?
It's
After.
After. So this is a bit that. Yeah.
That's why Good Will Hunting's so amazing, because those two guys came out and wrote an Oscar-winning movie and won an Oscar for it, and they were like,
How do you like them apples?
yeah, exactly.
Hey, there we go. Had to come in someplace. I'll give this a 5 as well. I think I recommend it to anyone to watch. Maybe perhaps with caveats. It's a longer film, so you can't just whack it on, and you want to pay attention.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's repeat viewing, Tony.
But you can do it in 2 parts. You could do like the nice.
This
first
is
bit
a good thing about it.
and
Yeah,
the second bit. And Netflix will remember where you
Wait,
were.
yeah, that's true. The repeat viewing score.
Repeat viewing. Okay, well that is maybe not, because it's quite long.
Yeah.
And I've only watched it once in the last 10 years, probably. So, and what is our description of repeat viewing?
So if you watch it like more than once, you have to watch more than once a year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
kind of 5.
Like Happy Gilmore. No, so no. 2. I'll give it a 2.
2 for repeatability.
Yeah.
Jay.
I'm going to go 4 because I have seen it 5 or 6 times in the last 10 years. It's not a go-to Matt Damon movie for me or a go-to movie for me, but it is one that comes up. Well, hence when this came up, watch a movie on Netflix, it's like, oh, Mr. Ripley. Sure. See Jude Law when he was good. That'd be nice. Just for 5 minutes.
The rare glimpse.
Rare glimpse.
Isn't that just him
Of
being
talent.
himself?
Quality
Like,
more.
Why he's playing an American, I'll never know. Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
It's just unnecessary.
Helen, repeat viewing score.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4 as well, which could be slightly generous, but it is very watchable, and you do kind of get caught up in it. And it is, even though it is over the 2-hour mark, it doesn't quite feel that long.
No.
And I think if the opportunity arose, if I could it on TV, I probably would sit there and watch it again. I think just the performances are so absorbing that you can get a lot out of it. And there was things that I didn't really remember from kind of the first time that I saw again, and you just kind of notice maybe like little subtle things in the background as
There's
well.
lots of things you could miss, right?
Yeah.
As you're going through.
I think I'm going to give that a 3 based on, if I saw it on TV and it was halfway through, I'd sit down and watch the rest of it.
Totally.
But I don't think I would think, what should I watch now? Should it be Talented Mr Ripley?
It's a bit of a task, isn't it?
Yeah, there'd be something else I'd probably have more priority over. But if it's on and I've got, an hour to kill and it's halfway through the film, I'd definitely sit down and catch the rest of it because it's so absorbing, and like you say, it's just creepy and fun at the same time.
Creepy and fun. That's a great
Featured on the poster. Creepy and fun. From Oscar winner Auntie Minghella. Creepy and fun.
The small screen score, Tony.
Well, that's an interesting one, because I think the story itself, even if you weren't watching it, you could probably make out quite a decent movie from just listening to it.
Yeah.
So but are you going to hold a small screen for 2.5 hours? And there are probably quite a few little bits in the movie that are subtle camera work that you could miss small screen. So I'm going to go down to 3. On the fence.
Jay.
What are we classing as small screen?
So small screen is your TV at home and smaller, so through
Kind
to...
of versus
Okay.
like going to the cinema to see it.
Yeah.
Sure.
I would like to see this in the cinema again because it's it's beautiful at points. Some of the shots of the Mediterranean, some of the shots of just anything, even some of the shots of the actors' faces and just the general feel it gives, I bet is great on a big screen, and I bet it comes across really well because it's got that film feel.
Exactly,
to it,
yeah.
It's, whatever it's on, 35mm or whatever. But then again, it's a long one. It's nice to be able to pause that and kind of take a break and come back to it, which you can't do in cinema and Nursey Dead Rich. So yeah, I'm gonna go straight down the middle with you as well. I think three's a solid mark.
Helen.
I'm going to give it 4. I mean, it's one of those films that, I mean, it does have the lovely visual quality, but, you know, don't think you have to see it on the cinema. And, you know, it is nice one that you can just comfortably kind of sit down, you know, get a drink, bed in for the 2 hours and 17 minutes and, you know, comfortably watch it at home without kind of feeling like you're missing out on anything, really, having not seen it the first time around. So I'm going to go with 4 for that one.
I'm going to go with 3. I think it looks great on a small screen, but I think it'd be nice to see what it did look like on the big screen.
Yeah.
I don't think it misses out so much, but I don't think...
You're not missing out, but I think there could be something. I don't remember. I imagine it was good, but 1999 was a while back now. So
if you were passing by the Prince Charles Cinema and you had a couple of hours to kill and it was on, you'd see
which is why I've given it a 3, because maybe
you'd like to see,
like I might see that. I don't know.
The engagement score. So this is like, if you sat down and started watching, would you switch it off because you're bored? Do you feel the need to pull out your phone and start checking Twitter?
Ooh.
Well, so you shouldn't do anything else while you're watching it because you'll miss something.
First and foremost,
like how he kills Dickie. Like why did he kill Dickie? Don't know. I don't know what I was doing. I was distracted.
Did you see the whole movie?
Yes,
you did. You didn't
except I was probably a little distracted a couple of times.
You didn't have a little snooze at the end. No?
I didn't have a snooze.
Okay, well that says a lot because you snoozed through the end.
There may have been some video games. It's not the best movie to watch while playing video games.
Okay.
Because there's a lot going on. So engagement score, but realistically, knowing that, yeah, it's a 4. You got to watch. It does engage you. It makes you want to watch it. I'd have definitely fallen asleep if it wasn't engaging because I fall asleep in any movie.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I asked, because it's a good test.
It's a very good test.
Yeah, 4 or 5. So I'm going to go 5. Because it's engrossing. You're there. As I think we've said it a couple of times during the podcast, but it's a couple of hours long. It doesn't feel like it necessarily.
It doesn't at all.
Yeah, but in the same way, we keep saying it's kind of almost 2 sides of a coin. It's because it's that different to each other. It's very night and day. Well, day and night as the movie goes on. And by the time you get to night, it's a weird, creepy thing, which you're glad you're still in, you know?
Helen, engagement score.
I'm going to give it 4. I think if you've never seen it before, then you will be really into it because you want to know what happens. I've seen it a few times before and I was kind of doing a little bit of research on the side, so just kind of a bit of IMDbing and Wikipedia while I was watching it, so not 100%
engaged
this time round. But I think if you're watching it for the first time round,
were you Wikipediaing and IMDbing this movie though?
Yeah, this movie, yeah. So
that's pretty engaging though.
Yeah,
that's pretty engaging. It's when you find yourself watching another thing on YouTube. I'm probably not into this movie anymore.
So we have,
what's your score? Yeah.
My score's 4 for engagement. I think you have to be into watching it. I think it loses a point because you could potentially just kind of think, not for me right now, and leave. But then if you're in the right mood, you can come back and you just be like sold into it.
Yeah, if you catch it on the wrong afternoon and it's just started, it might be like, I don't feel like Jude Law. Oh.
If you're not paying attention.
We're going to have to talk about your Jude Law foibles.
So,
we were talking about this earlier because we were suddenly like, what was that movie? And we didn't check if it was on Netflix, but
we didn't.
Love, Honor, Obey.
Love, Honor and Obey. Do you remember that film?
Was that the gangster one?
Yeah, with Johnny Lee
Miller, who Jude Law stole his career.
Yeah.
The guy that could act.
They're
of
both
the partnership. They were like best mates, partnership. Jude Law got all the deals, got his millionaire. Who's Johnny Miller? I haven't seen him in years.
No.
Well, Johnny Miller is coming back in Trainspotting too, surely.
Surely,
so,
right?
Yeah,
I hope so.
Excellent point, sir.
But it feels like he needs the paycheck. Like, I haven't seen. You'd expect to at least turn up in like 24 as the guy, 6 episodes in or something.
Jack Bauer Jr.
Yeah, Jack Bauer from another place, not quite as cool.
So we'll go through the scores. Recommendability score. I need to work out how to say that. Overall score is 5.
Boom.
Repeat viewing score 3.25. Small screen score 3.25, engagement 4.25, and that gives an overall score of 3.9.
Ooh, out of 5.
Yeah, out of 5.
My 2 for repeat viewing feels harsh now because I don't feel it should have below a 4.
No, we're not gonna.
No, but it should have a 4. It's a good movie.
But sure, fantastic.
No.
We'll check out later what Netflix's score and compare it later. We'll cut that out.
Yeah, I think
podcast,
it's
yeah.
4.
All right.
Was it
Yeah,
4?
Yeah, I don't. It didn't get 4. It didn't get the full
It
stars.
had 3. It had 3 on mine last night because I was
Did
like, 5, come on. Then while we do remember,
Yeah.
what were the other movies called? Because I don't think we actually mentioned that.
What other
Which of
movies?
the
Oh, don't worry, actually. The other Ripley movies.
Oh, yeah,
the
Ripley's
Ripley.
Game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's
Oh,
probably
okay.
Ripley Underground.
So is this like the Ripley origin story?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's cool as well because the I think came out second, but the Ripley's Game with John Malkovich, he's John Malkovich and he's 50 odd and he's living in like some little quaint French town, and he's a bit of an assassin type. And it's deep. It's really worth watching. Like, it's a really good story, the Tom Ripley story, because you wouldn't think it would come from Talented Mr Ripley, where that character could have gone could be more of this crying, killing people, but he goes very, very dark with it. And what I don't know is if the Barry Pepper one, which should sit age-wise, him in the middle, if it's an actual progression. I don't know if he's a bit assassin-y in the middle one and then full-on assassin in the last.
It's quite interesting because nowadays, if that was to be made now, this would immediately be a franchise, wouldn't it? They'd
Oh, yeah.
automatically restart the Ripley franchise, which is kind of depressing.
But it's nice that it's not. It's really nice sometimes to have that detachment, like complete detachment in movies, where you're just like, that is the same character, but yeah, no, let's not get too serious about it. Let's make a good movie instead of firing about
Michael
that.
Keaton's character in Out of Sight and Jackie Brown. It's the same
Yeah,
guy,
maybe.
but works for a different agency.
And Batman.
He's like, it's just Batman, yeah, Mr. Mole.
It's the same character.
But no, it's the only time in film history where they let another studio use the same character.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So I can't. It's
I didn't-
Ray something.
Were they
or
not
other.
both Miramax then?
I don't think so. I don't think
Okay.
Out of Sight was.
Oh, okay.
I think that was more of a studio film. But they let them use it instead. So it's the same guy, but he's ATF in one, and he's like CIA or FBI on the other one or something like that. But same guy, same character. I'll take that job. Done.
I need to go to Google and check this out. I think that's it for this episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
So if you wanna give your podcast a quick plug before we finish?
Yeah. You guys should go and listen to How to Write a Tune. We interview musicians about how to write tunes. Well, sometimes, very rarely actually. Catch us on Twitter at H2What or in all the normal podcast places.
Cool. And we'll link to all of these in the show notes, of course.
Wonderful. And if you get bored of that, you can check out GL Productions, who are a production company for all your production needs. How's that, mate?
Fantastic.
Super. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Thank
Cheers,
you, guys.
thank you.
Pleasure.
Hey guys, that was Tony and Jay. You can find them on the podcast How to Write a Tune and online. All the details are in the show notes. So just go to our website, go to the blog, and all the details are there. That was the Talented Mr Ripley. We really hope you enjoyed the show. Please don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes. And of course, Tony and Jay were on the show today. Thank you very much. They're actually editing our podcast, so we have to big them up at GL Productions. And thanks, of course, to the mighty people for the tunes that you can hear before the show and right now. And guys, we'll see you later. Bye.